compatible with British values?
Islam, the religion?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm not ducking the question, but first of all, you have to say, what are British values?
Mm-hmm.
And I think British values are currently morphing. They've morphed in our lifetime. I knew what they were very clearly when I was growing up. Again, I mean, we all knew the hymns. We knew the stories and the songs of our country. We knew the legends of our country. Now, because of mass migration, we have to do things like, well, British identity is about being kind and tolerant and saying that diversity is our strength, for instance. This sort of mouthwash. And and, you know, so if you say, is Islam compatible with British values? I say British values as they are at the moment and as they're evolving, probably. But Islam, the religion, makes extremely big claims for itself, as all religions do, but is also in our society and in societies around the world a religion which has a lot of desire to assert itself. It isn't actually these days Catholics who are making the kind of push that is happening at Catherine Burblesing's school. It's Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
There have been cases when there was one case with a theatre that was putting on a play some years ago that was seen as being a bit anti-Hindu, and there were some Hindus who took umbrage about that and tried to close the play down. I deprecate that. But it's mainly Islam that's doing the running at the moment in all Western societies and feels that it has the wind behind it, certainly the strength. And it partly does so through a method of intimidation, which I find intolerable, which is basically, I mean, I don't know if you saw that case recently in North England where there was a poor boy. How old was he? Something like 12. And he was accused of damaging a Quran. And in this obscene bit of footage, the leadership of the school, the local police chief, and some imams all sat at a long table and in front of the cameras explained that they were trying to address the problem and that they were trying to address the problem in a peaceful way. And so I go, I'm sorry, this is a kid. This is just a white kid in Britain who suddenly, like before the judges of Islam, and there was a police chief, typical supine sod, sitting there nodding along with the elders of Islam at the table. We're trying to do everything to pacify community relations. Sorry, community relations? A book got scuffed, not for the first time in a British school, the books got scuffed around the edges. And this kid is at the center of a potential nightmare. Just like the teacher in Batley. Yeah. The teacher in Batley who showed one of the Mohammed cartoons, as I understand it, in a discussion and a debate in his class about...
He's still in hiding.
He's still in hiding.
Yeah.
And that school didn't stand by him. And the police didn't stand by him. And when those bearded thugs turned up outside, they should have been arrested. They were engaged in intimidation. But you know, I've seen this as a pattern all my life. People are really vulnerable to a tiny bit of physical threat.
You know, Douglas is so right there. People are vulnerable. Most people that fight or flight, very few people have that fight. Most of the time, it's the flight. And in some instances, it's recommended. I mean, here, like you said, here's a teacher teaching students in a class. Can't have a discussion about freedom of speech, freedom to illustrate, freedom to draw, freedom to paint, freedom to write. Shows a cartoon, an image, and the community just goes nuts. Islamist thugs, Islamist terrorists show up at the door. Does the government intercede on the behalf of the teacher? No, he's the villain. The victims are the people in the community because of a picture, because of a cartoon. Why doesn't this happen in Judaism or Christianity or Hinduism or others? Why is it that the Islamists are the ones, the fundamentalists, that can't be tolerant, that are so intolerant to the point of violence? And then, like I said, is the incitement to violence, incitement, intimidation to do bodily harm, to do a threat. Where were the police? They're not there anymore. This instance with this 11, 12-year-old could have been solved behind closed doors. If he did something wrong, I would say the same thing if it was happening to a Jewish scripture, a Hindu scripture, a Bible, the Quran, to any book, to any, holy scriptures of anybody's particular faith. If he did something that was damaging or that was off-putting, he could have been sat down with his parents, depending upon the whole situation, but to find out what happened. But sometimes kids are they're the 11, 12-year-olds. What do they know? But he could have been told, this is the holy book of a holy religion. You don't go around scuffing it. I don't know the particulars of this thing here, but it didn't have to be a show. But that's what they wanted to become. Virtue signaling, polish their halos. The police chief isn't involved. The school, headmaster, headmistress, they're involved. Bending and taking a knee to the Islamist mob. Say, look, we'll replace the book. How did it get scuffed? What's the story behind it? Did the kid do it on purpose? Was he, if he did, counsel, he could find out what he did. What was going on? Why this book? Who knows? But these are the things, as Douglas says, it doesn't take a lot of a threat to make people intimidated. Anyways, let's get back to the interview.
Discussing this once with a friend who was much involved in the Iraq war. And I was with him in Iraq, and I said, what are the things that have surprised you, as it were, about how badly this has gone? And he said, one of the things I just underestimated was we could have troops on a street, but if a man opened an alcohol shop in Baghdad, say, and a local Islamist militia came by one evening and said, you're going to shut this down, it would be shut down. Like, even the law of American troops being around was not as strong as a local militia. Think of the way that's happened all of our lives. A little bit of physical threat. It's an old mob tactic. This is what a lot of Islamists have done. They say things like, I get this all the time from these blowhards. They're all like, well, I'm not going to kill you, but I can't promise I'm holding my mate here back. And I don't like that tone of voice, and I won't be spoken to in it. But a lot of people are very intimidated by that. Nice publishing house you've got here. Shame if anything happened to it. Nice school you've got here. Shame if anything happened to it. Sorry. Are we going to be intimidated by mobs or thugs or mafia-like gangs? I don't think we would if it was an Italian mafia. So why should we if it is an Islamist mafia? No, I mean, is a really, really important point to make, if I may.
Well, as we give Douglas some time to compose himself before he comes up with, what he wants to say, he's deep in thought. I just want to say that this is what was happening in the United States of America, folks, back in the 70s and 80s, when the Italian Mafia was literally running things across the country, especially up and down the eastern seaboard. And as their expansion across the vast plains of the United States, westward into Nevada, and gambling and those kind of things. But the stuff that was happening, the mob tactics that were being used, just like Douglas was saying, it'd be a shame to see what happened to your family or to your daughter or to your wife if you don't turn over your, business to us or give us, a piece of the pie. It'd be a shame to happen that your trucks start to disappear with all their clothing goods inside there, or your business catches on fire. Oh, it'd be a real shame if, something happened to your knee. Things like this happen all the time. I mean, but that's the type of thuggery. And the police, a lot of them were, being bought off by the mob. There was a rampant police corruption going through at that time. Italian neighborhoods were being terrorized by, Italian gangs, Italian mafia. Who would you go to? You're just a common guy. You're just working an 8 to 5, a 9 to 5 job, trying to put food on the table, trying to keep your kids and your wife and your family safe. You were going to go up against a mob. Oh, some people did. Some people did. Some people, and many people, lost their lives because of it, or lost livelihoods, or lost an arm, lost a leg, or had things, happen to them and their family members or whatever. So it's not easy going up against, first of all, you're going against these mafia-like gangs, these Islamist terrorists, groups that are out there. It's not easy going up against whoever they are. And I would be saying this if they were Russian gangs or Chechnyan gangs or Turkish gangs, or put whatever ethnicity you want, Japanese, Chinese, Asian, Middle Eastern, you put whatever, ethnicity, heritage name before the word gang or terrorist or ISTS behind their name. I'd be saying the same thing. But this, when you are one individual, one person, and then the police or the people that are being represented there to try to help, they're there for the general welfare of the public and try to stop this type of stuff, and they don't even want to intervene. You've got a teacher that has to go into hiding because of fear of his life, fear of getting beaten or worse, and the police and the state are not protecting the citizenry, that's the person who's the perpetrator, he's not the victim. Of course people are going to be intimidated. Of course people, a small amount of intimidation or threat are going to make people scared. Anyways, let's get back to Douglas Murray and see what he's about to say.
I was just so demoralized. And I want to say to them, man up, stand up, have some damn pride in yourself. What happened to you? What happened to you? We were strong. We were powerful. We were principled, and we weren't easily pushed around. The British public were not easily pushed around, and we were quiet about it. But when we were pushed too far, we did something about it. Now, when did we become this so easily pushed around that the police can be pushed around? 1 year it's take the knee. 1 year it's just stand back as people are screaming in your face at an anti-Israel protest in London. 1 year it's sit on the imam advisory board of the local primary school whilst his poor boy is being made to suffer like this through a struggle session. What's happened to you? What's happened to you, Britain? It's just horrible to see the really great virtues of the British public just being whittled away at, and our good decency taken advantage of time and again. What happened to us? Well, I know what it is. It's been beaten down. And in some cases, some people, it's been beaten right out of them. Well, not me, and not millions of others. Not us.
Well, Douglas Murray certainly isn't going away, and thank God for that. You people across the pond in the United Kingdom have got a great, great spokesperson for yourself, especially those of you if you're on the conservative side. I don't know who we have comparable to Douglas Murray here in the United States of America other than President Donald Trump. Goes about it in a different way, but stands up for what American value is, American exceptionalism, American values, the idea of America, the forgotten man and woman. That's exactly what you have in Douglas Murray. A person who's got a platform, who's got the ability through his strength of voice, strength of writing, to basically stand up for those people that can't afford to stand up, or don't know how to stand up, or perhaps don't really want to stand up. But he's the one that are fighting for those ideals, preserving British values, preserving British tradition, talking about, British history. And that doesn't mean that you can't be unwelcoming to others. Britain has been most welcoming, but as to the world. But as Douglas points out, that goodness, that good naturedness, that's been taken advantage of by many, many people. They've settled in the United Kingdom and taken advantage of British hospitality and the British people, British laws. Anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your host. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so already, we'd love for you to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and follow. You all know what to do. Share your comments below. Take a look at our video links above and below. I'll leave you with my final thought, which is, when you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.